Hello, welcome to Higher Ground Gaming. This is Eric. Today we're going to do another board game unboxing. This is another game by Flying Frog Productions, and it's a deck building game based upon the board game A Touch of Evil. So there's a board game that came out in I think 2007, 2008 called Touch of Evil, which is basically you're fighting against it takes place in colonial times. You're fighting against, creatures and stuff like that, and being colonial type heroes and stuff like that, such as war heroes and messengers and just different doctors occupations in the colonial times. Well, this is a deck building game similar to Dominion. Maybe not quite as involved as Dominion, but pretty involved, I guess you could say, using the Touch of Evil universe. It's by Jason C. Hill, who creates, I think, all of their games so far. He's the CEO, and art is by his brother, Jack Scott Hill. And Brian Schnotty, who does a lot of the stuff in for Shadows of Brimstone, he did a lot of the graphics and illustration and stuff like that in that. So this is going to use, if you're familiar with the Touch of Evil board game, it's going to use a lot of the same artwork that's in that game. But again, this is a deck building game. And a pretty fun one from what I've seen so far. I've never tried to actually play it, but I've watched many videos by Paul Darcy, Board Game TV, Doug Herring, among others that have done this, and definitely looks like a fun deck building game. And again, I'm not a huge into deck building games, but if it's the right universe and the right game that I like, then I'll probably enjoy it. So anyway, let's check it out. And it's for you can play it solo or cooperative, competitively or cooperatively. It's for 2 to 6 players. Like I said, you could play it, cooperatively, which again leads to playing it solo also, because most cooperative games you can play solo, at least the ones that I've seen anyway. So 2 to 6 players, again, solo mode. There is a solo mode too, age 12 and up. And as you can see, if you're familiar with Touch of Evil, some of the same characters, like he's a character, I think she's a character, and I think all these are characters. And the artwork right here. And you're going to be fighting against villains and stuff like that. You're going to try to fight and defeat 3 villains. Level 1, level 2, and level 3. And once you've defeated all 3 levels, then you basically win the game. And again, if it's cooperatively, you both win the game. If it's competitively, whoever has the most investigation points, which if you're familiar with Touch of Evil, basically is the currency in Touch of Evil. So anyway, let's check it out here. So here are the components and everything. Contents in the box, a lot of components. And we do have the expansion to this, Colonial Horror, as well as some card pack supplements and other stuff to go with it. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff for this game. We basically got almost everything that we could for this game. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 card packs, one of which was sold out, and another one which we found out about just recently. So if we get those, we'll have just about everything, I think, to it. So anyways, let's read the back here. So Touch of Evil, Dark Gothic, is a deck-building card game based on colonial American Gothic horror setting of the popular Touch of Evil board game. The game allows 2 to 6 players to take on the role of unique monster hunting hero, collecting allies and gear to aid them in their journeys while they root out evil and hunt supernatural creatures back to their lairs. With wider scope than the board game, players must hunt down a series of I lost my place here. Increasingly difficult villains that are terrorizing the countryside before the land is consumed in shadows. Though the heroes must generally work cooperatively as a group to stop the villains from overwhelming the land, there can be only one top monster hunter amongst them, with when the dust clears and the final victory total is gathered. Dark secrets lurk around every corner, and only the most cunning and spirited hunter can prevail in the age of Dark Gothic. Dark Gothic includes 8 different heroes to play, each with their, this is just in this base game. Each with their own unique special ability and starting deck, 9 challenging villains to face off with, and over 320 game cards, so a lot of cards in this, as well as the Deadly Omen die. Just simple to learn and addictive to play is with a 60-minute game time, which is about pretty accurate. Dark Gothic is perfect now for new gamers and deck building veterans alike. All right, so there we go. So as you can see, some of the artwork. These are the monsters in here. Some of the monsters, and then some of the cards that show up in here. So again, similar artwork to Touch of Evil. So let's open it up and see what's inside. Okay. All right, so we have the instruction booklet here, the game components, number of players, and then game elements. So these are the hero cards right here. So you can recognize Carl from the Touch of Evil. He's a colonial soldier. Then the large villain cards, and then the different cards in the deck. All the different types of decks that you have. So you have start cards, training cards, honor cards, gear cards, ally cards, location cards, event cards, minion cards, common minions, secret, shocking discovery, and then you have some that remains in play, which were in the Touch of Evil board game. And that's basically how you set it up. You're basically going to start off with your deck right here. You're going to create a center line, which are going to be different, filled with all the different kind of cards in the games, like minions and enemies. Gear cards, hero, ally cards, different things like that, and you're going to need to spend your honor points or your spirit. I think it's spirit, cunning, and combat points. Those are your resources, and you're going to be spending those to buy the cards in here or to defeat enemies and different things like that. And then these right here are different cards, upgrade cards you can buy, which are better than your original cards. Your original cards are kind of weak, but eventually you're going to build your deck, if you're familiar with deck building, to buy more powerful cards and eventually weed out those not so powerful cards so they don't clog up your deck, and use those to defeat enemies. So there are your 3: combat, cunning, and spirit are your 3 resources in here, and this is a wild resource right here, which you can use as any of them. That's pretty much it. And different rules and how to acquire cards and everything. What happens to the different decks. And that's pretty much it. So just 8 pages with some optional rules and stuff. So not much to learn there. And that's interesting. Some pieces of cardboard in here probably hold everything in place, which I appreciate. And here's your Omen die, which is kind of a different type of die. So it's got a 0, which is a skull. A 0, 1, 2, 3, and I think there's a 4. Yeah, 4. Generally 0 is not good, unless certain circumstances. But that's what's called your Omen die, and I did get some additional Omen dies for this in different colors, so each player could have one. All right, so let's start with, actually, might as well start with these. These are your villains right here. These are your villain cards, and this is a level 3 villain here, but let's take them out and go through these. All right, if I can get this open here without tearing the cards. All right. And I know this, I watched some unboxing where there was a complaint on the component quality of some of the cards and everything. These looks like they have the heroes on them too. And again, if you're used to Touch of Evil or other Fortune and Glory or Last Night on Earth, they came with heavily coated cards, which was cool. These do not appear to be like that, so if you're familiar with Flying Frog games like that, you may be a little disappointed, but not a big deal. As I'm going to sleeve most of these, probably not these because these are a different size, but so let's look at, I guess we might as well look at the heroes first, why not? So these are your different heroes right here. So again, they're going to have, your starting deck is going to have 5, and these are all going to be level 1 cards with, 1 icon on them, but you're going to start with 5 combat, 4 cunning, 3 spirit, and 0 honors. And then they have a special ability. So this is Charlotte DeBoer. She's a smuggler. She was one of the heroes in one of the either expansions or hero packs. So she has an ability, Smuggler's Network. Your hand size is 7. Normally you have 6 cards in your hand, but is allowed to have 7. And then Tunnels, all locations cost you 1 random resource less to acquire. So she offers a savings on certain locations and stuff because she has a tunnel ability. So yeah, so that's her card right there. And this is Brother Marcus here. He's a pious adventurer, so he's like a monk of some sort, I believe. So he's not going to have much combat, only 1 combat, 2 cunning, a lot of spirit, but and honor. So he has a faith ability, which allows you to use that spirit instead of combat when fighting a minion or villain. So he's allowed to do that. So he can be very powerful. Then you have Adriana of Zartha. 4 combat, 4 cunning, 3 spirit, and 1 honor. And again, honor allows you to actually, when you draw an honor card too, it allows you to draw other cards from your deck. So it allows you to expand your deck too, expand your hand. So she's blind. She's a foreign traveler. Enhanced senses. May discard up to 2 cards from your hand to gain 1 resource, a random resource each toward defeating a minion or villain. So she's good at fighting minions or villains there. And they have Harlow Morgan, man of science. So he's going to have a high cunning, kind of a low combat, and definitely low spirit and honor. So invention. Once per turn, you may discard a card from your hand to gain a resource equal to the card's investigation value. So investigation, you'll see later, is your kind of like victory points on them. So if you discard cards, you can gain resources from him. Kind of being resourceful, I guess, as a scientist. It's an invention. Then you have her. She's a noblewoman. She has 4 combat and 6 cutting. No honor, as you can see, because she's a rich nobleman and doesn't have much honor. And there's a little bit of spirit. So manipulation. So you may discard any card from your hand to block, ignore a strike or fight effect. And strike cards or fight effect cards are cards that players play against each other. So that's good in the competitive game. I think it can also be good in the cooperative game too, but especially good in the competitive game. So wealth, all gear cards cost you 1 less resource to acquire. So she's able to get gear cards cheaper. And you have Heinrich Cartwright the Drifter. And I think he's in the base game of Touch of Evil. 3 combat, 2 cunning, 6 spirit, so a lot of spirit, and 1 honor. He's resourceful. Anytime you draw 1 or more cards during your turn, you may draw an extra card, then discard 1 of those cards. So he allows you to go through the deck a little faster. Drawing cards a little faster. And you have Katarina Clark. She's definitely from the base game. She's pretty balanced between combat and cunning, but with a little spirit and honor, a little honor. And she's stealth ability. Anytime you roll an omen die, you may choose to re-roll it, but you must accept the second result. She allows you to roll stuff. Carl Harrison, as I said before, he's a veteran of the Revolution. So he's a veteran soldier. And he's got high combat, of course, being a soldier. or veteran. 7 combat, 3 cunning, not much spirit, and not much honor. And as a soldier, he gains 1 free combat resource for each turn. So he's got an automatic 1 right here. But again, he's got a 7 here, so he's going to draw a lot of combat, at least initially on. So those are your 8 heroes in the base game. And now we'll go through some of the villains here. So we'll start with the first level. So we have 3 of each level. And we have the Furman Bog Fiend. So this is definitely one of the villains in Touch of Evil. And so basically to defeat him, you're going to need to have 5 cunning and 3 spirit in your hand at one time. So it's going to take a little, it's going to take a little while to be. You have to get more powerful cards in order to defeat it. Because originally, you know, you're only going to have cards that have 1 cunning each on them and 1 spirit. So, and again, you only draw 6 cards, so you're going to have to wait until you get more powerful cards with higher combat values in them. So this global effect is something that's, while this villain is active before, which will start at the beginning of the game, there's a global effect. All location cards cost you 2 more to acquire. So anything with a location, like a windmill or the abandoned keep, stuff like that, are going to cost more to acquire. So then once you fight him, after you defeat him, you may destroy up to 3 cards you have played this turn. So this allows you to basically get cards out of your deck. You know, allows you to make your deck more powerful. So to get rid of the weak cards in your deck. All right, so that's the Bog Fiend there. This is the Cursed Werewolf. So he's 6 combat and 2 cunning. And they have keywords on them too. He had a keyword of beast, and he also has a keyword of beast. So the Cursed Werewolf, once a normal man, this wretched creature loses control and shifts form when the moon is full. So he doesn't have any global effect. But when a fight effect is roll the omen die, you must acquire dark secrets equal to the roll. Dark secrets are generally bad. Well, are always bad, I think. And again, on the bottom corner here, this is how many investigation points they get, or victory points you get. So when you defeat this, the person who defeats this gets to keep this. And this one's worth 7 points there. And that's how many investigation points they'll get at the end of the game, which is important in a competitive game, not so much in a cooperative game. All right, so that's that one. And this one, the Creeping Terror, which is familiar with Shadows of Brimstone, like the Night Terror in Shadows of Brimstone. It's you need all 3 resources: 5 combat, 2 spirit, and 1 cunning. And he's a demon villain, and he does have a global effect. Anytime an ally enters the center line, roll the omen die. On the roll of 0, destroy it. So he gets rid of allies. Basically, you can look at it like he attacks them and kills them, or causes them to flee. And then finally, he has a fight ability. You may acquire 1 ally from the crypt for free. Now, crypt is the discard pile for the main deck. So if there's any in there, you get to acquire 1 for free once you defeat him. So those are the level 1 ones. Now you have your level 2 villains, which is your Greystone Gargoyle. Put these a little closer. He's worth 9 investigation. He's a beast, and he requires, these are a white circle, so he requires 5 of any resource and another 5 of another resource, or it could be the same if you have 10 of one, but 2 groups of 5 of any resource. Anytime a hero rolls the omen die, rolls a 0 on the omen die, they must acquire a dark secret. So that's his global ability. So it happens while he's in play. And finally, fight all gear cards that you have played this turn and destroyed at the end of the fight. So if you use gear cards to fight him, basically it's like he destroys your gear cards, pretty much is what it is, because the battle was so vicious. Okay, and he's worth 9 investigation. And then, yes, you can see these are a little tougher. The Dreaded Scarecrow, which is from the Touch of Evil game, the original one. And he's 8 cunning, and he's a construct villain. And he has a global effect of any time an ally is acquired on an omen die, on a roll of 0, add the top of the main deck to the shadows. Now the shadows is basically, shadow is how you lose it. If you, at any one point, if there are 10 cards in the shadow deck, then the heroes have lost the game and the game is over. So you have to prevent that from cards going to the shadows. Again, if there's 10 there, then the game is over and both heroes lose. Okay, and he has no fight ability, so nothing happens when he is destroyed. And he's worth 8 investigation or victory points. And finally, another villain from Touch of Evil is the Banshee. And she's 8 spirit and 2 combat. And she has no global ability. Her wails can be heard from miles around Langmire, welling into the night, followed by human screaming, then silence. Oops. And she does have a fight. Once you defeat her, every hero must destroy 2 cards from their hand, discard pile that they have played this turn. So this can be a way of thinning the deck to your deck too. So it can be good. And finally, and she's worth 9 investigation. Finally, the 3 main bosses, the level 3 bosses, is the Vampire Black Bay. And she's 6 combat and 4 spirit. And he is a vampire villain. And he has no global ability. Ancient and powerful, the Vampire of the Black Bay is said to have originated from distant Europe. And he does have a fight ability. The Vampire of Black Bay requires an extra 1 of any resource to defeat for every full 2 cards currently in the shadow. So the more cards in the shadow deck, the tougher he's going to be. And towards the end of the game, there's probably going to be quite a few. So if there's 4 cards in the shadow deck, you'll have to add 2 to any one of these resources to defeat him. So either 8 combat or 6 spirit. So he gets tougher the more cards in the shadow deck. And he's worth 9 victory points. So Spectral Horseman, definitely from the original base game of Touch of Evil, which is also the Headless Horseman, you can call him. He's 6 spirit and 6 combat. He's a ghost villain. And riding through the chill night on a beast from beyond the grave, the Spectral Horseman harvests the heads of all in his path. Okay, because he doesn't have a head. Okay, and the fight is so he doesn't have any global abilities. His fight ability is to defeat him at the end of the game. All allied cards you have played this turn are destroyed at the end of the fight. So this could not be good. You might lose cards because generally those allied cards have good victory points on them. All right, and finally our last villain in the base game here is the Savage Werewolf. So he's worth 10 victory points, so he's worth the most. 5 combat and 5 cunning, it looks like. And he's a beast villain. And he does have a global effect. Anytime an ally is destroyed, roll the Omen die. On the roll of 0, add that ally to the shadows instead. So that's not good. So he basically increases that shadow deck. Yeah. So, and his fight is roll the Omen die. Savage Werewolf requires that much extra combat to defeat. So it could be up to as high. So this time you want to roll a 0. So you can roll between a 0 and a 4. If you roll a 4, he required 9 combat to defeat. So it makes him tougher, that roll there. So Katrina would be good to have in there because she gets to re-roll the Omen die. So there definitely are some good combos in this game that you can do. And again, that's the last villain. All right, so now we'll get on to the heart of the game here, which is going to be the cards. So I'll start with the upgrade cards that you can get. So while there's 5 cards in the middle, I think it's 5 or 6 in the middle line there, these are always available. Like say you can't buy any of those cards there, as long as you have 2 of any resource, you can buy these cards. And these cards are good to help start to build your decks. I think, actually, sorry, you have to have a whole bunch of these. So, well, not really that many. So these are your, so you have this kind right here, which is Tactical Strike. So basically you have to spend 3 of any resource to get this card into your deck. And it's a training, these are all training cards, so that gives you are 2 combat instead of the starting 1 cards. Probably should have showed you the starting cards first, but this is the first deck I opened. So we're just going to go with it. And then this one are Strength of Cunning. There's a lot of these. Wow. Oh, looks like some of them got mixed up in here. Hold on there. Some more of those left cards. Let's see here. Here we go. So this is the next one. So that was Combat. This is your Strength of Cunning. That's Inspector Cook there from the original game. And, oh, these are the start cards, sorry. Yeah, so pretend I didn't show you that training card there. These are your starting cards. So here is your starting strength cards. So these are the cards you'll start with. So if you have a certain amount of spirit, like say 5 spirit, you'll get 5 of these cards to start with. And again, these are all starting cards here. Okay, and then you have your, let's see here. A lot of these. Okay, and these are your starting cunning cards. And more of the spirit cards. And then finally you have your strength of combat. So these are your starting combat cards. All right. So these right here are the upgraded cards right here for training. But notice these right here don't have any cost because these ones you get automatically at the start. So let's see if I can find the other deck here. All right, here we go. Yeah, and again, these aren't as good a quality cards as the original Touch of Evil cards were. So, but we'll be sleeving these, so it's not going to really matter. As the fire truck goes by, of course. Okay, so these are just more starting combat cards here. And here are your honor cards. So again, these honor cards, once you play them, you immediately get to, they count as 1 of any resource, and you get to draw another card from your hand. So these can be very good, very powerful. With the Russell Crowe type guy. Alright, so let's get some more starting cards here. Okay. And yeah, they definitely kind of, they didn't do a good job of sorting these. They just kind of randomly threw them in. Looks like. Let's see if I can sort these out a little bit first, and then I'll show you what they are. So it looks like these are more regular cards. And so I can show you some more of the training cards. So I showed you the combat training cards, but there's also spirit and cunning training cards. And these are just more. Yeah, here we go. Here are some more of the training cards. So you have your, so these are your training cards. So if you have 3 of any resource, you can buy one of these. And again, these aren't going to go in the middle line. These are going to be like cards available for purchase at any time during your turn. But these don't become immediately available. As soon as you purchase a card, it goes into your discard pile. So if you're familiar with deck building, cards that you purchase aren't readily available unless it says so, and I don't think none of these say so. So these immediately go into your discard pile, and then when they get shuffled back in, once your hand runs out and your draw pile runs out, these will become available. So these are all these, and they do, as you can see, they are worth victory points, whereas your starting cards aren't worth any investigation points or victory points. So you can see here that these starting cards are not worth anything. And there was one more. There should be a spirit training card. which is probably in here. Oh, I did show you the spirit one. So it's the cunning one. So again, this is the last one is the Brilliant Deduction, which is the cunning card, trading card. So you get, these are worth 2 cunning. And again, 3 of any one resource. You can purchase these and they're worth 1 investigation or victory point. All right, so what do you have here? Here are the people. So this right here is is always available, basically, and requires 1 combat, 1 spirit, 1 cunning, and these are just available. These are always going to be, these will be put next to the villain, and these are kind of like, you can always try to defeat them. And if you do defeat them with 1 of each, you may destroy a card you have played this turn or card from the central line. So it allows you to either thin your deck or to get rid of a card that's unfavorable in that center line. This card is never acquired. It may never be destroyed or discarded anyway, so it's always available to be used. Let's see here. Oh, these are shocking discoveries. Okay, hold on there. All right, so let's see here. See if I can show you some other cards that are available in here. Oops. Yeah, no, that's right. Again, these weren't really well sorted. But again, I'll show you some of the cards that go in the central line for the main draw deck. So this is a minion card right here. So basically it costs 4 of cunning to defeat it. But as soon as this appears, the mystery, as soon as it appears, that happens immediately. So destroy any cards adjacent to the old mold in the central line. So basically, the central line is, like I said, those 5 or 6 cards are in the middle. And it has a thing here, if you acquire this. So basically you can acquire this, and then that bottom effect will take place when you play it. Take 2 cards at random from your discard pile into hand, so they can become powerful too. So there's a couple of those. Angry Trees. These are pretty bad. These right here, if you're fighting them, so they don't have any mystery effect, but if you're fighting them, you have to roll the omen die, and if a skull is rolled, destroy a card you played this turn, so they cause you to lose cards. But it has a strike effect, so if you play this once you acquire it, but it's kind of hard to acquire it first, so it's worth 6 combat points there. Each other hero, so this is something you can play against another player. Each other hero must roll the omen die. If a 0 is rolled, they must discard 2 cards from the hand, so it causes them to lose actions, basically lose the strength in their hands. So this can be played against another player. In a cooperative game, I guess both people are affected by the strike ones. All right, Night Terrors. So I'll show you a couple more of these minions here. Night Terror is a demon minion, and it has a strike effect. So basically, it's nothing when it first comes out, but when you acquire it, it has a strike effect. Each other hero must reveal their hand and discard an ally. So again, it causes other players in the game to lose stuff. But when you do play it, you are allowed to draw an extra card into your hand. So they can be beneficial if you require them, but if they're played against, they could be bad if other players play them against you. So let's see here. So again, there's all kinds of other stuff. There's vampire bats. There's succubi, which are pretty nasty. So this one basically is worth 1 of any resource. Costs 3 combat and 1 cunning to defeat. 1 spirit. It does have a strike ability. Every other hero must discard the top card of the deck. There's a few of these. And then you have your Ghost in the Fog. And then you have your Gremlins. And then your Gibbering Evil. A couple of those. Ghost Soldiers. And Harpies. More Vampire Bats, Murder Crows. That's just simply worth 1 of any resource. I mean, it's, yeah, if you play it. And then you have your Highwaymen, Sandman, a few of those. More Gibbering Evils. Timberwolves, he's kind of interesting. So if you fight these, Timberwolves require an extra 1 combat to defeat for each ally you have played this turn. So if you use allies against this, it costs you extra combat to defeat. So that's why it has a 3+ here, because it could be more depending on how many allies you played. And then it says gain 1 combat for each ally minion you have played this turn. So it can be beneficial to you once you defeat these and acquire them into your deck. So a few of those. Specters, 3 spirit to defeat, which makes sense. +1. And then you have your Murder Crows, more of those, and some more Old Mold. So those are just some of your enemy cards, which could appear. And let's see here. So now you have I'll show you some of the other cards, like location cards. You have location cards here. So these can be really good. So they cost 3 combat and 3 spirit to acquire. But when you play it, you either get 1 combat or 1 spirit, and it remains in play. So what that means is that every time you draw cards from your hand, you get to it goes next to your character, and you'll get an extra combat or a extra spirit every turn, and it's worth 3 victory points. So this can be very good to do. Now there are ways of canceling these remains in play cards, but by the players or other various ways. But this is a location one. So that's the Old Woods. And you have your Church, which costs 5 of any resource to get, and it has a mystery thing. Every hero may acquire an initiative hunch and place it on top of their deck. Acquire an initiative hunch and take it into hand. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. Then you have your Magistrate's Office right here. So again, mystery is immediate. As soon as it's flipped off the deck, it occurs once it's in the center line. And then, but when you have it, acquire a brilliant deduction and take it into hand. So brilliant deduction is the intuitive hunch was the training card for the for spirit. So it allows you to gain a level 2. This one allows you to gain a level 2 cunning card, so a training card. So it allows you to get cards into your deck, which is always helpful. This one right here, Crossroads, and these are all locations from the Touch of Evil board game. It's rather hard to get 7 of any icon, and every hero must draw 2 cards. So initially, may draw 2 cards. This is a good one, potentially. You have to draw 2 cards. I'm not sure if this is from your deck. I think it's from your deck. Yeah, so you get 2 extra cards to play. And then when you play it, you get to draw 3 cards. Every hero may draw 1 card. So again, that can be a good one. You have your Town Hall. There you go. Armory. So you can see some of these are pretty expensive, but they do have some good benefits. Blacksmith's Workshop. So again, more Timberwolves in here. So they get mixed up a little bit. So this is like an item right here, like a gear. This is a gear card. So when you acquire it, it takes 4 spirit and 2 of any resource to defeat. But when you get it, it gives you 1 spirit, and then until the end of the turn, you may treat all of your spirit like any resource. So it allows you to change spirit into a wild resource, which can be kind of cool, especially like for brother Marcus there, who has very high spirit. So it makes it flexible. Tools of Science, another gear card. This is helps your cunning. Another gear one. Powder Keg. You may destroy this card to gain 5 of any resource. So kind of neat. A Manor. Another remains in play one. Gives you a spirit. A couple of those. A Windmill. Another one for cunning. These are all remains in play cards, and you have the Abandoned Keep, which gives you the spirit or the combat one. I mean, the cunning or the combat, and it remains in play. A couple of those. Here's like a weapon card. So it either gives you 2 combat or 2 spirit, but it costs 5 of any resource to acquire, worth 2 investigation. Excuse me. Their old axe. A couple of those. Dueling saber. This one's kind of neat. So if you defeat one or more minions in a villainous turn, you acquire an honor. So this allows you to get extra honor cards, which are always good. Iron Cross gives you 2 spirit. All ghosts you have cost you 1 less resource to defeat this turn. 1 of any resource. Again, they help you basically add to your stats. Win stake. This is 2 combat. A vampire costs you 1 less resource to defeat this turn. A couple of those. Then you have your Arrow's Lates. Healing Herbs, another gear card. So discard to block, ignore a strike card. So draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. Discard a card. So a few of these healing herbs. Flintlock pistol, combat or cunning. A few of these. Muskets again. A couple more of those. Surprise attack. Ooh, destroy all other cards in your center line that are not minions. So, could destroy gear or ally cards, so this could be pretty bad. And strike all the heroes must discard a card at random from a hand. Interesting. Alright, and you have a disturbing reaction. Duplicate the effects of any other card you played this turn, so this kind of allows you to play a card twice, except a vampire. A couple of those, Town Secrets. Each hero must acquire a Dark Secret card. Now I'll show you what the Dark Secrets. Dark Secrets are bad. They're not immediately bad, but when you acquire them and you draw them, then you have to go to what's called a Shocking Discovery deck, and those could be either good or bad. Mostly bad, but there are some good ones in there too. More Town Secrets. Interrogation. A couple of those. On the Hunt. It's an event card. Discard up to 3 cards from your hand to gain a resource equal to the combined investigation values. Oh, wow. So you discard cards and gain resources. So, again, you don't lose the cards. They go into your discard pile. Or you can draw a card. It gives you some variability. Knocked Away. And, again, this is a similar type card in Touch of Evil. A lot of these card titles are cards that are used in Touch of Evil. Similar, but in different ways. Discard Knocked Away and destroy a card in your hand, or discard pile to block a striker or fight effect, or draw 1 card. Power of Fear. A couple of those. Trail of Death. A couple of those. Gives you a couple cunning and gain additional 2 of any resource toward fighting a villain. So some cards are good when fighting villains. Tracking the Beast. This helps you in fighting the villain too. Give you some combat. A couple of those. Finding the Lair. 2 spirit and gain additional. Same thing. It gives you spirit. A couple of those. Secret Passages. Allow you to draw cards. All locations cost you 1 less to acquire this turn. So they give you discounts on location cards. Honorable Gesture. Choose a hero to draw 2 cards. So this could help another. This is good in the cooperative game. Or you could choose yourself, I suppose. You may then destroy this card to acquire an honor and take it in it. So you can destroy a card. Basically, it goes into the crypt. And then you can to acquire an honor card. A couple of those. A few of those. Search for the Truth. A couple of those. Endurance. This allows you to block. And this is the Remains in Play card. So this can block a strike or fight card permanently, but not permanently, but until somebody says destroy the Remains in Play cards. But this will have an ongoing effect for you, so that could be very good. A couple of those. Another Knocked Away. So here's an ally card. So roll the Omen die. You may draw cards equal to that number rolled, so this can be really powerful. And here you go. Here's Franklin the dog. He's in the original game too. Reveal from hand to block a strike or fight effect. So he helps you with combat. well, blocking and striking your fighting cards. Murder, if you're familiar with Touch of Evil, you'll be very familiar with this one. Draw the top card of the main deck, and this automatically increases the shadow deck. This is not a good card at all. So this automatically will happen. So draw a card and then roll the omen die. If you roll a 0, discard a card. So it's like 4, 5 of these cards. So that's pretty bad. Secret Passage. I think we had that one before. Sophie. She's one of the town elders from the original game. She's basically the same cost as like defeating the hungry minion. So she's an ally. So each hero must acquire a dark secret. So that's automatically when she comes on in the central line. Roll the omen die and gain resources equal to the number rolled. And Reverend Harding. Pretty funny. When you acquire this card, also take a dark secret, but he's worth 3 spirit. So that's could be pretty powerful. A couple of him. Magistrate Croft. Good for cunning, but you got to take a dark secret. So he's basically the same thing. Lucy Hambrook, she's really good. She's a good variety pack here. 2 spirit and 2 cunning. She does cost 5 of any resource and 1 of spirit and cunning, so she can be kind of expensive to get. And Liza the Witch Hunter, she's basically a character in the original game. She's really good too. She's a holy ally, 2 spirit and 2 combat, and all villains cost you 1 less to defeat this turn, so that's pretty powerful. But again, she's 4 of cunning, 4 spirit and 4 of any resource. And these are kind of like the militia in the original game. They give you just 2 combat, only cost 2 cunning, so they're fairly inexpensive. The Night Watch. And a few of those. Lord Hambrook. He's the father of Lucy Hambrook there. So he's worth, when you acquire this card, you get to get Dark Secret, but he's worth 3 of any resource. A couple of him. Lady Hambrook, the mother. So a lot of them require you to take Dark Secrets. Dr. Manning. When you acquire this card, also take a Dark Secret and roll the Omen die. You may take another number of random cards from the discard pile into hand equal to the roll. So that can be pretty powerful, especially if you know what you played. And then lastly, I'm going to show you the last 2 decks in here. Actually, I showed you those already. So these are basically those Dark Secrets they tell you to acquire. You're just going to acquire one of these. And these in and of itself don't really do anything. But they go into your deck and basically they are destroyed when they're played. So they destroy this card immediately. So they just go into the discard or back into this Dark Secret pile. And then you have to take, I thought this would be thicker, but it's probably more of the expansions, but these are your Shocking Discovery cards. So these are both good and bad. So this one you may acquire an ally from the center line for free if there are none there. Acquire the top card of the main deck instead. So this is a good one. And this is this one right here requires you to destroy an ally from your hand or discard pile. You must then defeat this card as a minion before doing anything else. So this one could block you and clog your deck up. If you do not defeat this card, if you do defeat this card, destroy it and take a training card of your choice. So that could be good if you're able to defeat it. This one right here, place this card next to the current villain. It gains the listed bonus. So this makes the villain more powerful, so that's not a good thing. Gives them +1 combat. And then once they're defeated, you discard the card. Again, this one helps the growing power. It helps the villain gain more cunning. And this one for more spirit. So there's some good ones and some bad ones in here. So, and that is pretty much it. And again, like I said, let me just show you the directions again. So the way it's set up is there are 6 cards in the center line, and these are all the discard pile, which is the crypt. Occasionally, you can draw cards from the crypt, so they can be good too. And then this basically is just a player playing. Oh no, these are the always available cards you can get, and then these are the players in their deck. So normally you play with a couple players, depending if you want to play cooperatively or competitively. You can have it, like I said, up to 6 people. So that's basically how you set it up. And the next game with the Colonial Horror will add some other mechanics to it, like roaming minions, where they roam they start at a certain point and they roam through, and once they get to the end, if you don't defeat them, then they end up in that Shadows deck. And again, the Shadows deck you don't want to get too big, because once it hits 10, you lose the game there. But anyway, it's a fun little deck builder there. Oh, there's the Shadows deck right there. Yeah, based on the Touch of Evil board game, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting this sleeved into the table. So maybe once I get this sleeved into the table, I'll do a playthrough of it eventually. Again, I haven't done any yet, but that's the plan eventually, is to get set up so I can start doing some board game playthroughs. And I think this would be a good one to do, since it's simple and doesn't require a lot of table space. So thank you for joining. It's been Eric from Higher Ground Gaming, and we'll see you in the next board game unboxing. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.